Gaza's waterfront property. It could be very valuable to if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. So I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. But I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. I think proactively recognizing a Palestinian state would essentially be rewarding an act of terror.
That was President Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, about a year ago. And his statement has only become even more ominous after President Donald Trump, of course, declared that the United States will own the Gaza Strip. That was a statement he made on Tuesday of this week. And in fact, Kushner is putting big money into an Israeli firm that finances and insures construction projects in Israeli settlements. So here are the details, courtesy of an in-depth report by The Lever. Last year, Kushner's private equity firm, because he is the head of a private equity firm after all, which is called Affinity Partners, invested in Phoenix Financial, which happens to be an Israeli financial and intelligence firm. So Phoenix is heavily involved in Israeli settlements. Let's give you a little piece of this info. Phoenix owns about 80% stake in a large shopping mall in an East Jerusalem settlement and stakes in various companies operating throughout other settlements. Phoenix has helped finance wind and solar projects in Israeli settlements and provided financial services to the local councils of settlements, including the Beitar, Lilit, and Oranit settlements in the West Bank. And let me just say, for those who might not be aware, the settlements, the Israeli settlements in the West Bank are built on stolen land. These are illegal settlements. They're seen as illegal settlements by the international community. But the United States aids and abets any bad behavior that Israeli settlers want to engage in, any bad behavior that the Israeli government wants to engage in. So there you have it. So when Affinity invested into Phoenix last year, it actually acquired a 4.95% stake in the company. And on January 15th of this year, Israeli regulators approved a deal that doubled Affinity's stake in the company. Kushner actually told Bloomberg the following: investing in Phoenix in July of 2024 was a decision rooted in my belief in Israel's resiliency and the fundamentals of Phoenix's business. 6 months later, the increased value of our shares reaffirms my conviction both in Israel's strength and the growing promise of Phoenix. Now, of course, Israel's strength is contingent upon the United States aiding and abetting everything and anything it wants to do. Doesn't matter if you're talking about a Democratic president or, in this case, Donald Trump, a Republican president. Israel gets what it wants. Meanwhile, settler violence runs rampant. According to the United Nations, settlers were responsible for more than 1,000 attacks on Palestinians last year alone, the highest level of Israeli settler violence ever recorded. So Donald Trump's decision to announce that he believes the United States should take over Gaza, I think was heavily influenced by his own son-in-law, Jared Kushner. This is something that Jared Kushner has been talking about over the last year, clearly. I mean, it's evidenced by the video that we showed you. And so I believe that the president sees this as a money-making opportunity. And that's what he's really pursuing here, Cenk. And the idea that the US should do this is ludicrous. The idea that you could do this without US military is ludicrous. And let's not like whitewash this in any way. It is the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. What Donald Trump is proposing is the stealing of land that belongs to the Palestinians. And it's going to lead to chaos and war in that region.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the boots on the ground and what Donald Trump proposed in just a little bit when we get to that part of the story. But first, Witkoff is the guy that Trump put in charge of negotiating in this situation with the ceasefire in Israel and Gaza overall. And Witkoff has had a lot of conversations with Kushner and has been taking advice from Kushner. So Kushner's clearly massively involved in all of these plans in regards to Gaza. And apparently Donald Trump changed the plans at the last second, a couple of hours before he met with Netanyahu, and that was after talking to Witkoff and Kushner. So And when Kushner talks about how he invested in this Israeli company because he believes in Israel's resiliency, that's hilarious. No, he invested in them for logical reasons. I get it. Number one, he knew that they had already destroyed most of Gaza and they would try to destroy almost all of Gaza, which would then require reconstruction, whether the Palestinians are going to stay there or Israel comes in and builds settlements, etc. There's no question that construction is going to go way, way, way up soon. And this company would do financing for that, insurance for that, and they stand to make a ton of money. But wait, where's the money coming from? Well, that's the even more important part. A massive amount of US aid is about to go to Israel. I mean, we gave them over 20 billion last year. We've given them over $300 billion in the lifetime of Israel. And a lot of MAGA guys are a little bit naive about this. We're going to talk about how they, in my opinion, did a great job of preventing boots on the ground. We'll get to that in a second. But when it comes to the money, they think now like, oh no, we're not going to finance it. We know we're America first. And I'm like, okay, brothers and sisters, but you're about to get a rude awakening because that golden pager is not sitting on Donald Trump's desk at the White House because Donald Trump isn't serving Israel. Okay,
yes.
By the way, get that pager out of the White House. I mean, at a bare minimum, it has a bug in it. At a bare minimum.
Bare minimum, yes. So for anyone who's unaware, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gifted Donald Trump a gold pager, which of course was a reference to the exploding pagers that Israel sent over to members of Hezbollah. Now, of course, those pagers exploded in all sorts of public places around innocent civilians, but who cares, right? Doesn't matter. Who cares about civilian lives? I mean, it's not like the Israeli government has shown any concern for any civilians who aren't Israeli. But anyway, let's move on to what Donald Trump is currently saying in regard to his plans in the Middle East and in Gaza in particular. So he's scrambling to explain how his plan to own Gaza would really work. So this morning, he wrote the following on Truth Social. Bear with me as I read through this lengthy statement. The Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States by Israel, right, at the conclusion of fighting. The Palestinians, people like Chuck Schumer, would have already been resettled in far safer and more beautiful communities with new and modern homes in the region.
Sure.
They would actually have a chance to be happy, safe, and free. The US, working with great development teams from all over the world, would slowly and carefully begin the construction of what would become one of the greatest and most spectacular developments of its kind on earth. No soldiers by the US would be needed. Stability for the region would reign. Yeah, the exact opposite would happen. The point you're making about the funding, Cenk, is incredibly important. And think about it. The funding would come from the American government, American taxpayers. It would be given to the country of Israel, as we typically do, billions of dollars year after year. And then that money would just get funneled to the development or developers who are building whatever it ends up getting built in the Gaza Strip, not for Palestinians. Palestinians will be ethnically cleansed from Gaza. And you really think Israel is gonna hand that land over to the United States? I doubt it. Okay, I highly doubt it. And by the way, even if it was ironclad, contract indicating that they would do that, I still don't buy it. And even if that were true, I don't want it. The United States is not supposed to be in the business of nation building, and that is what Donald Trump himself has said. Why is the US getting involved in the Gaza Strip, getting involved in the ethnic cleansing of the Gaza Strip? Yeah. It's insane.
Okay, so let's break this down because when Trump first came out, he said this lunatic thing about how we're going to take over Gaza, America is, we're going to rebuild it. And including, and I love that he said this because it makes it very clear what the original intent was. We will be dealing with the unexploded bombs that Israel dropped, but and it's because the blessed IDF, of course, they need to be protected at all costs. Those are Israeli civilians, they're worth about 10 or 100 or 1,000 American citizens. So we would send in Americans to clear out the unexploded bombs. Also, by the way, to actually move 2 million Palestinians forcibly, because they're not going to go voluntarily, into another country that isn't their home, and likely into the Sinai desert, where there will be no luxury homes waiting for them. There'll be tents and refugee camps for the rest of their lives. So, and remember, of course, when they resist being moved out of their homes, then we'll have to kill them. So now, what happened was, I said I think that MAGA would push back, and MAGA did push back. Now hold, there's nuance there. But first thing they said was like, wait, what are we doing? Boots on the ground? We all just voted against boots on the ground. What the hell are you doing? And it was a ridiculous idea in the first place. So Trump immediately backpedals and goes, no, I didn't mean boots on the ground. I didn't mean boots on the ground. So now he changes the plan from, and look, change it from a horrible plan to a slightly less horrible plan. Okay, I guess we're making progress. And yes, so MAGA, nice job on pushing back on that. But wait, now let's talk about his new plan. So now Israel is going to do its own dirty work. Okay. I hate it. I don't want it. I think it's terrible. I think it's textbook ethnic cleansing when you move people out of their homes and homeland and you shove them into a different place. Trail of Tears, Armenian genocide, Bataan Death March. These are all textbook ethnic cleansing genocide. So there's nothing pretty about it. They're not going to be in a better situation. They're going to be in a far, far worse situation. None of them want it. The neighbors don't want it. No one outside of Jared Kushner and his corrupt cronies and Trump, etc. And of course Netanyahu want it, right? So when you go to move them out, now apparently Israel's gonna do it. He's saying that America will then own it afterwards. Now,
yeah,
right, okay, stop right there. Like MAGA, you know that's not true, right? Like that's nuts. Please don't believe things that are not even within, not even a 1% chance. You think Israel's gonna do all of that work and they're not gonna pay for any of it. And at the end, they're gonna be like, here you go, America, we love you so much, we're giving this land to you, instead of our crazed settlers who think that God promised it to them and burn the whole house down if we don't give it to them. So this is just mad. Of course Israel's gonna take it, right? Come on. You please don't tell me you were that naive. But he says that so that for the folks who are naive, they go, well, if they're gonna pay all the costs and they're gonna do it and we got no boots on the ground and later we own it, well, okay, maybe I like that plan. Okay, so now,
no.
Can I hold on one more thing and then I'll then I'll go to you in this. Guys, if Israel's gonna do it, but we're somehow helping, what does that mean? How do you help without having boots on the ground? Are they gonna float in the sky? Our soldiers, our contractors, whoever we're sending in? No, of course. Okay, but even so, even if you say, no, okay, he's not gonna send a single American to do any of the dirty work. If you think we're not going to pay for all of this, you're on a different planet, brothers and sisters. And it doesn't really matter what we speculate today, and it doesn't matter how much you disagree with me today, because the bill is gonna come due, Netanyahu is gonna come to collect this check, and Trump and almost all of Congress will get walked around the park again, and they'll all give him exactly what they want. And then how mad is MAGA? That's gonna decide everything.
In fact, let me just note, when it comes to the Israeli settlers, first of all, separate them out from the rest of the Israeli civilian population, okay? Because the settlers and their behavior in the West Bank, for instance, is a perfect example of how they would behave if Gaza were occupied by Americans as opposed to Palestinians. By the way, Palestinians, it's their land. It's not an occupation of Palestinians. They have the right to that land. They're being pushed out, okay? But if you have Americans there, the Israeli settlers are gonna treat the Americans the exact same way they treat Christians in the West Bank. You think they only target Palestinian Muslims? Please. They see that land as their land. They feel that they have a God-given right to that land. I mean, there are videos all over the internet of Israeli settlers literally spitting on Christians who are in the West Bank for their own, reasons of faith. So I don't believe for a second that this is about Americans taking over the Gaza Strip. In fact, we already have an Israeli government preparing for what Donald Trump wants to do here. Defense Minister Israel Katz says the military should prepare exit options by land, sea, and air so that anyone who wishes to can leave for any country willing to accept them. an Israeli Defense Ministry statement reads as follows: I welcome the bold initiative of the US President Trump, of US President Trump, which could allow a large portion of Gaza's population to relocate to various destinations worldwide. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu claims that Gazans who leave their homes would be allowed to return, but that's complete and utter garbage. I don't believe that for a second. The actual idea of allowing first Gazans who want to leave, I mean, what is wrong with that? Yeah. Netanyahu told Fox News Wednesday, adding that those who leave the Strip can come back. Katz stated that countries who have been critical of Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign, like Ireland, Spain, and Norway, are legally obligated to accept Palestinian refugees, and they would be hypocritical if they did not. No. These countries do not want to aid and abet the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from their own land. Okay, but Spain's foreign minister, Jose Manuel Alvarez, has already shot back, saying Spain makes its own decisions. No third party should tell it what to do, he said, adding that Gaza must be part of a future Palestinian state. In addition, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, and Jordan all have announced that they oppose Donald Trump's plan. And keep in mind that in 1948, the Nakba that occurred in 1948, 700,000 Palestinians fled and were forced from their homes as a result of the Israelis basically pushing them out from their homes, from their land, and into the Gaza Strip. Trump's proposal would basically amount to a forced relocation of 3 times as many Palestinians.
Yeah.
Any final words, Cenk?
Yeah, definitely. So, but after the Nakba, Israel allowed them back into their. Oh, right, they didn't. Of course they didn't, because their whole point was to take the land, and they did take the land. So look, I'm gonna make a declarative statement. If you believe that Israel will let the Palestinians return after they push 2 million of them out, instead of taking the land for themselves, you are the world's largest sucker. There is an absolute 0% chance of that. None. That's Israel laughing at us going, watch these dumb Americans. We'll tell them that they'll get it afterwards after they pay for it. They're not gonna do any of that. There's no chance at all. Okay, so, and by the way, what does it mean that America will own it? What does that mean? Is Gaza going to be our 51st state? Are we voting on statehood? Is it gonna be a colony like Puerto Rico or Guam or a territory? It's absurd, it's beyond absurd. I mean, please, you're like telling on yourself if you believe any of these fantasies. Okay, now, what do you think the Palestinians are gonna do, whether it's the Americans or the Israelis, that are moving them out of their homeland? Let's ask it this way. I usually use Texas as an analogy here, but you can fill in any state or any region or any people into this. What do you think that the good folks in Texas would do if they said, oh no, we're just gonna take 2 million of you and move you into Guadalajara, okay? Maybe you can come back later, but we already destroyed your homes, but it's okay. The country that had destroyed your homes and killed your family members, they're gonna push you out into a different country, and then maybe you can come back later. Okay, what do you think the good folks of Texas would do? They would fight and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight. I don't know what the Palestinians are gonna do, but I know the Texans would murder as many of those occupiers as they could possibly get their hands on. And they would be called what? Freedom fighters, right? So you're gonna tell me that the Palestinians should accept having their homeland stolen? No, it is going to be an epic disaster. So you think less war? No. Anti-war, hilarious. That's as pro-war as it gets, because at that point, they've got nothing left to lose. Right now, they're holding on to the thin hope that the monsters running the government in Israel will stop murdering them at some point and that they could move back into their homes. If they lose that hope, what do you think they're gonna do? You think they're just gonna bow their heads and move to another country? No, you're going to have an epic war there. Guess who's gonna pay for it? And so guys, that's the ultimate showdown. At some point, the bill comes due and Israel's gonna come for their next check. And it isn't gonna be the normal 4 billion we send them every year. It's going to be a much, much bigger number, just like it was last year. And just like Biden, Trump will say, Absolutely, sir. Are you sure you don't want more, sir? I'll give you everything you want, sir. I got your golden pager right here. It's actually right here. It's up my one. Okay, so yes, did you see him how he pulled in the chair for Netanyahu, that dog Trump, humiliating this country, serving another foreign government? He will try to pay. You think his donors gave him hundreds of millions of dollars to not send our money to Israel? Please don't tell me you're that big of a sucker. So no, Trump will try to give them a giant sized check to pay off his donors. And at that point, MAGA, are you gonna sit there and take it? And are you gonna go, oh yeah, okay, no, America's suck is not so bad, not so bad. My guess, and I know everyone on the left here disagrees with me, right? And I know that it's a bold prediction. I think MAGA will not sit there and take it. I think MAGA will say, yeah, you can take the very long walk off a short pier in Gaza. No, not interested in sending you another $20 billion or whatever size check that they want. And by the way, that wouldn't cover the reconstruction at all. So, okay, let's see what happens. But my guess is there's gonna be MAGA versus Israel lobby. And that is the first time in my lifetime where the Israeli lobby has a chance of losing. Because the left gets steamrolled every single time, and our politicians aren't on our side anyway. And neither are the Republican politicians, neither is Trump. But Trump is the only politician that I've seen in my lifetime that cares a little bit what his base thinks. So if his base clashes with his donors, that's gonna be epic. Which way it goes, I don't know. We'll see. But I think there will be a clash, and I think MAGA has some percentage chance of winning. But if they don't even fight back, we're gonna get robbed by Israel till the cows come home. Those Palestinians are gonna get slaughtered. There's gonna be massive ethnic cleansing, and it's gonna get way worse, not better.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members, because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us, become a Young Turk.